Hi, Pierre. Thank you so much for joining me on Staying Ageless.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so glad that you came. So I am Nigerian American. I was born in the States, but I've traveled a lot in Africa, and I'm a nutritionist. So I'm obsessed with African superfoods because people don't realize that African superfoods have a ton of nutrition. So I actually stumbled upon you and your amazing career just because I was writing about superfoods and somebody said you should try Fonio. And then I was like, well, I don't know what brand to try or where do I find Fonio? And she said, you need to try Yolele. So I went and I bought like all the different flavors.
Awesome.
And I try them all and they're amazing. And so that's how I found you. But then I was like, oh my God, this guy has like this amazing career. You like are basically brought West African cuisine to fine dining. Like it wasn't really happening and you made that happen. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you become a chef in the first place?
Oh boy, you sure you have time for that? That's,
You can give me the abridged
the
version.
abridged version was well, I was born in Senegal, and I left Senegal when I was actually a student in physics and chemistry. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's really how it started for me. I never even considered cooking as a career because I'm coming from a culture where the kitchen is for women, and the guys you just sit and wait for
Right.
the good food to arrive. We're quite spoiled. But we also were quite aware of what good food is like, as West African cuisine. I mean, we take our food seriously. Senegal, Nigeria, I, so
Yes.
so I came to the US with a student visa, with a dream to continue my degrees in physics and chemistry. And so visiting New York on my way to Ohio, I got stuck in New York, and that's a whole other story. But I got stuck in New York for a couple of decades now, and in the kitchen. Really, my first job happened to be a kitchen job, and it not actually happened to be a restaurant job, but it was a busboy. I was front of the house. I was bussing
Oh,
tables,
wow.
and from bussing tables, my first cultural shock in the U.S. was to find out that in that restaurant there was not a single woman in the kitchen. It was only men cooking. So I was like, I was like, what kind of world this is? It's like men are cooking, and it was kind of wild. But those guys became my comrades, really, because as a busboy, you take the empty plates into the kitchen and you get to hang out. They
Right.
make you taste a few things sometimes if you're cool with them, and and then you bring them a drink sometimes. So this friendship just started really with the kitchen guys, and particularly with the chef who liked practicing his French with me. I come from Senegal, a country that French speaking because of our past with those people. So we, the chef asked me to take extra shifts in the kitchen because he knew I wanted to make extra money. I was still planning to get out of New York and go to Ohio. So the extra shift in the kitchen turned out to be a dishwasher shift, and and he was like very encouraging. If not, I probably wouldn't stick around. But he was telling me how this is how he started. It's like this is the real cooking school. You start from the bottom up, and he was right, absolutely. Even today in my career, after having opened several restaurants, I still look for cooks who have started as a dishwasher. Because they come with a
Oh, wow.
foundational. Yeah, absolutely. They have a solid foundation and understanding and respect for the dishes, really. So that's how I started, from the bottom up, from dishwasher. Obviously, next thing you start peeling vegetables and chopping and tons of those. And then you graduate to the garde manger, to the grill, to the saute, to all the different stations of the kitchen. And then at some point, you become the sous chef. And this was over years, obviously. And over years, I've moved from different restaurants, worked in Italians, worked in French bistros, worked in Americans, and then I just saw that there was something missing in New York City, the so-called food capital of the world. These restaurants I was working were all fine dining, great food, but I thought there was room for African cuisine presented the same way, keeping its authenticity. And that's really how, organically I started to add African food in this restaurant where I had been promoted chef de cuisine. The restaurant was a boom in Soho, and it was really popular. It was the mid 90s, and the restaurant was so popular that we opened a new location, and I was the one selected to run that location. It was in South Beach, Miami. It was supposed to be a winter job, and this is really where I started to add the flavors of West Africa and as a tweak on specials, and they loved it. The clientele were responsive, and it turns to be the mission of my life. I thought I never looked back. When the first review from a writer wrote about this dish that I had served, there was a peanut sauce, actually, a vegan peanut sauce, and that really just triggered something. I really started to get recipes from my mom, and putting them down and adjusting them. I returned to New York, studied a catering company, and this catering company turned into my very first restaurant in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, called Yolele. That was early 2000. And Yolele was a hit. It was a hit because it was in an area of Bed-Stuy that never even considered having a sit-down restaurant with a wine menu and the whole thing, and let alone an African restaurant. So it was quite pioneering. And but it lasted 4 years because it was just a great experience. And 4 years in restaurant world in New York City is quite some time. But
Yeah, that's
I
like
wrote
a
my
decade.
I wrote my first cookbook from Yolele, and then opened my second restaurant, the Grand Dakar, in Brooklyn as well, in Clinton Hill. And next thing you know, I was asked to write a second cookbook from the same publisher. But I think I'm going ahead of the time right here. I should let you talk a little bit.
So, talk to me about Senegalese cuisine. Like, what are the staples? In I don't actually know that much. I know that there's a lot of similarities in West African cuisine, but Senegal specifically, I haven't been to. So I would like to know, like, what are the staples there, and also, well, let's start with that. What are the staples?
Well, okay. Well, you see, all cuisines are influenced by the environment. So, and Senegal is a coastal country, and it's also located in an area called the Sahel, just south of the Sahara Desert. So it's very dry and arid. So, unlike Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria, you have like fufu as a base, of many of your dishes, fufu, amala, and all that. And you see it in many other countries of Africa. Senegal is really about the grains, which you also have in Nigeria. We use a lot of grains like rice, millet, fonio, sorghum. Those are the
Mm,
traditional grains that we use. The protein is mostly coming from the ocean because of our coastal aspect,
mhm,
so lots of seafood on the protein aspect. And vegetables, it depends of where you are. In the north, which is more dry, you have less of leafy vegetables that you would see in the south. But you would see cassava, you would see, of course, carrots, the simple, the obvious one, cabbage. Eggplant is a big one too. You have different type of eggplants. You have the regular eggplant that you would call the globe here. We have bitter eggplants, jakato in called in Senegal. It's like a smaller one, looks like a tomato, green tomato.
mhm,
And so all those different varieties appear in our menu, in our diet on a regular basis. And nuts, you have like peanuts is big in our cuisine as well. Peanuts, you have palm nuts, palm oil. Palm oil is one of the things you'd see in the south of Senegal, which is a lush area of Senegal, where we use, all the greens are very much a part of the diet there. Nothing goes to waste. Like cassava, then we use the cassava leaves. Sweet potato, then we
mm,
use the sweet potato leaves, and they make great dishes out of
mm,
it. And moringa too. So you have sweet potato and moringa leaves combined together with cabbage that makes an amazing sauce. Sometimes you add some smoked fish, traditional smoked fish in it, and that just adds the umami to it as well. But we also have a way to add umami with the a vegan locust bean called, we call it netetu. In Nigeria, you call it dawa dawa or iru. And those are
mm,
strong. It's vegan. It's coming from a tree. The tree in Wolof is called nere, from the nere tree. So the fruit from that tree, after it's eaten, the seed is extracted and fermented. And with that seed, the fermentation of that seed really gives a very strong, pungent flavor that we add to our
huh.
sauces or to our different stews. That really adds a very interesting flavor.
That's very
Hmm.
cool. Wow, that's a lot. When you because you did a lot of research, I listened to your TED talk. It was fascinating, and you did a lot of research in Senegal, and then you stumbled upon Fonio. Did you find any other like healing herbs or other things that you felt like were being neglected?
Oh yeah, there are plenty. There are a library of it. That's just
Mm,
yeah, that's the sad part, and this is really why this crusade for Fonio, and it's this the mission of my company Yolele is to bring to light those ingredients. Fonio is just the Trojan horse, but our vision is to really get into underutilized crops that are not only sustainable but good for you, and would help diversify our diet. There are lots of them. There are lots of them that. Unfortunately, some of them will disappear because they're not being used.
mm, mm, mm. So tell us about some of the benefits of Fonio, why you like it, and why you've even created a whole business around it. What's so great about it?
Well, first as a chef, it's about the flavor. It's like it tastes delicious. I love the flavor. I love
Yes.
the fact that it's very versatile, and it's really easy to adapt to so many different recipes. You can turn it into a porridge. You can turn it into couscous by putting less water. You can make flour with it and bake with it.
Mm.
It's gluten free for so many people. That's something that's quite important. It's I respect the culture too. Fonio is the oldest cultivated grain in Africa. It's been around for 5,000 years, and
Is it older than millet?
well, Fonio is from the millet family. Yeah,
Okay.
Fonio is millet. It's from the millet family. It's just a different form of millet, much smaller, much tiny, much
Ah,
more delicate. Yeah,
okay.
much more delicate. So Fonio has also it's nutritious. It's very very nutritious. It has amino acids that are very prominent. Two of them are in particular called cysteine and methionine, and those amino acids are
Mhm.
deficient in most grains, in most major grains, and they're great for growth, human growth. They are used. That's why in West Africa where Fonio is grown, they serve it to children that are growing, and to babies, and mothers that are also pregnant ladies and expecting mothers, and just mothers that are uh, nursing their baby. So those are the some of the properties of Fonio. Another one is that it has a low glycemic index, so it's highly recommended for people who suffer from diabetes, for instance. As long as you pair it with sauces that don't have a high level of sugar. So that's another one. I can go on and on. It has a very low caloric um, protein as well, crop as well. What else did I
Has a
say?
good amount of protein
Ye-
too. It has like 12 grams of protein in like
Yeah,
a cup or something like
yeah,
that. So
absolutely.
I was impressed with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, it's a great
Yeah.
grain, and it cooks in 5 minutes. It's really no the perfect.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite part. You can add it to your menu in no time. It'll be ready.
So anyone who knows me, and then all of my clients, I have most of my clients are Black women. They're very busy,
Hmm.
successful women, and they're trying to get their health together. And so they're like, how can I do this in half the time? You know what I mean? So there's always trying to find like quick and easy recipes, or you order this and it gets delivered, whatever. But the Fanya was like, this is genius. Like literally, do you have 5 minutes? If you
Exactly.
have 5 minutes, you can make it happen. I was so excited when I tried it because sometimes people say it's 5 minutes, but it's not really five
Oh no,
minutes. It's usually like 10.
it's even less than 5 minutes. How do you say it?
But this was true to the advertising. I was
Absolutely.
like, wow, look, it's done. It's
Yeah.
finished. Look.
Yeah.
So amazing. So tell us a little bit about you started Yolele in
Uh-huh.
2017. And now I saw that you have like chips as well.
Hmm.
You're selling Fonio with the different flavors, which are amazing, by the
Thank
way.
you.
How did you formulate all of these
Hmm.
separate flavors?
Yeah, I mean the inspiration is from most of them, as you probably noticed, from West African cuisines. The
Mm-hmm.
we have five fonio pilafs. We have fonio chips that we just launched. And well, the pilafs, you have the jollof, which is the most the most famous African dish, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a big war, and I guess we shouldn't start since you're from Nigeria.
Let's not start it now. I'm not starting a jollof roll with the chef. That's for sure. Nope, I'm
And
good.
chef from Senegal too. Huh? Jollof originates from Senegal, so so you shouldn't start that. So anyway,
I hear
but I
you.
think it's a
I
beautiful
hear
war.
you.
I love this war. I love the fact that there's no killings in this war. We just
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
yeah. So, but in addition to the jollof, we also have the yassa, which is also a dish that's inspired by a Senegalese dish, southern Senegal, with accents of caramelized onion and acidity from the lime and heat from the chili. So it has like sweetness, sourness, and heat from the chili as well. We have the greens, which is with moringa.
I love that one with moringa in
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really good. It's really good. And we also have green uh, chips as well. So we have greens chips. We have the Afro Funk, which has the fermented locust bean I was mentioning, the dawa dawa. So they're all vegan. And what else do we have? We have the greens, the fonio, the Dakar curry. The Dakar curry is also inspired by our ways of presenting curry in Senegal. We have our own curry, which is also obviously inspired by curry spices, but it's a Dakar way. So that was an odd nod to that. So those are our pillars. And the chips, we have plain salt chips. We have the yassa chips, chili and lime. You have the dawa dawa afrofunk, and we have the greens. So those are the ones.
And then if someone doesn't know how to work with it at all, we can get your cookbook, right?
That's
And get
right.
some
That's right.
tips.
That's right. My last cookbook.
Okay, good.
My last cookbook is dedicated to fonio. And all my cookbooks have fonio recipes, but this last one is strictly dedicated to fonio. It's the whole journey of fonio. I've traveled with the photographer, and we spent time with the farmers, small farmers harvesting fonio. So you see how the women are doing it. It's a women activity for the most part. And they first of all they're there on the field just singing to motivate the young boys who are cutting the fonio, because it's all done by hand, it's all manual. It's amazing 'cause you
Oh,
have these
wow.
beautiful fields all covered with greens, and it's just amazing. And the fact that fonio is like it grows like widely, really. It's a grain that's so easy to grow. They nickname it the lazy farmer's crop because all you need to do is to throw the seeds, and then the fonio would grow. and so that's
Wow.
and so when it grows, the whole land is covered with these beautiful green straws like that are just amazing, stunning looking. And you see these at harvest time, these women, how African women are dressed in colorful garbs, and they just there that
Yeah.
day is joyful. Harvest is also a celebration, so, and they're clapping their hands and singing, and the boys are cutting the fonio, and they're only cutting the top. So it's just so great for the environment because they're cutting the top, but they leave the roots on the ground. And fonio is a crop that has deep roots. So those roots are adding nutrients to the ground. And that restores the ground, that adds the topsoil to the ground. So that's the aspect of
Mm.
fonio that's really fascinating, because it's a grain that can grow in poor soil, and then as it grows, it regenerates the soil. So it's like a really an
Wow.
amazing crop. Yes.
Yeah, see, my whole thing is like just similar to like, moringa and some of these other superfoods. It's like I don't understand why there's malnutrition in Africa because I feel like we're not looking at the right things.
Mhm.
We have all of the elements to grow crops and that are highly nutritious that can literally reverse malnutrition and we're just not using them as
Yeah.
much as we should be.
Yeah, no, I believe it has to be intentional. We have to just decide to switch this mindset. We had this mindset that everything that's best is coming from the West. It is really it's coming from the colonial mentality that really trained us to order. Even Senegal, we grow rice in the south, but we still, from the colonial time, we still bring broken rice from Vietnam because the French also colonized Indochina, which was Vietnam
Wow.
now. And you see it throughout the continent, really. I mean, you still see um, importation of products. I mean, we import potatoes, we import um, I mean, everything, sugar, oil. This is. I'm talking about the case of Senegal. It's really sad, and we look down at our own products like Fonio and
Mm,
millet and sorghum and all those. We think they're like they're substandard. We think that's for the country people. We tend to look down, and yet those are so much more nutritious and so much better for you, for your food security, because you have to depend on your own self, and for your environment. You support your agriculture, you support your land, and for your health, because also when you look
yeah.
at these products that are imported, many of them are bringing we also importing diseases with them.
Yes.
So many ailments that we are suffering of are because of the food that we eat. And most of that food that's imported, that's not grown locally, is grown in ways that are not ethical. And now we have spikes
Yes.
of, like, hypertension and cholesterol and diabetes and
Diabetes.
obesity, things that we didn't have back home in back in the days. This is
Yes.
things that were imported with the diet that changed. So really, it has to be intentional. We have to just decide, to promote those crops. We have to educate people, and it will come. It will come. Like I said, we started Fonio in 2017. There was no distribution at the scale of Fonio back in the days, and we started with one Whole Food store, and today we are distributed in all the Whole Food stores in America. We are distributed in more than that. We
Amazing.
distribute in close to 1,000 supermarkets in America. We distribute it online,
Amazing.
with our own, distribution, Yolele.com, of course, Amazon, Thrive Market, Fresh Direct. So good eggs, there's so many platforms that can distribute you now. So that's something, that can happen with all these other crops and herbs that are good for you. And it's just that to entrepreneurs and policymakers, all of them have to just be intentional and decide to bring them to market.
Mm, I love that. I love that so much. I agree. What would you like to see, I guess, in the next like decade for West African foods and cuisine, like your field?
Oh, in the next decade, I would like to see it take over. And it should
Mm,
take over because, first of all, Africa has 60% of the world's arable land, so we are destined to feed the planet. So now,
mm,
absolutely, the planet is going to be 10 billion people on this planet. We have to feed 10 billion people in a way that's not going to destroy our planet, destroy us. Because if we continue feeding ourselves the same way we have been doing for the past 50 years, we're going towards a crash, is directly for a crash, because you know the monocultural system is really one of the great cause of what we talk about when we talk about climate change. When you see the greenhouse gas emissions, 30% of it is caused by this monocultural system.
yes.
Is crazy, and
Wow.
and the amount of water that's being used to grow our food. 70% of the potable water of the planet is used to grow our food. So we need to get out of this situation. This is a situation that's not taking into consideration the environment, because they're focusing on just the shareholders, uh, profits. Really, that's all it is about. Making sure that the land keeps growing the same crop over and over year round. So to do that, you have to put some chemicals in the land and pesticides, just to extract, exploitation of the
Yeah.
land without any ethic. And those products, you eat them, and they bring you health issues, because they have been treated the wrong way from the beginning, from the seed. Returning to the traditional way of African agriculture, which is the way we traditionally do it, with in rotation, like the type of agroforestry that takes care of the land and allows the land to rest and allows the land to grow crops in season, and you rotate it. Today, this season
Mm,
is fonio, the next season is sorghum and beans. You have to make sure you allow
mm.
the land to breathe. So this is the type of agriculture I'm hoping in 10 years we would be supporting and we would be eating from. And we need to be doing it again intentionally. It's not guaranteed because we have 60% of the land of the planet, that we will be doing it the right way. Because we have to realize that in the other side you have big agri that's also looking for that land. They're praying for that land because they
Yeah.
destroyed the land that they had already. This land.
Yes.
So well, that's a whole. So that's a hope. That's what we're fighting for. 10 years is tomorrow, and it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, no, that's all. This has been a really great conversation. I really appreciate your time. Where can people find you online and find Yolele and get some Fonio?
Well, you can find me at pierrethiam.com, or you can go on my social media handle at Chef Pierre Thiam. And Yolele.com is my company that does the food products. It's Teranga.com is my restaurants too. You can, if you're in New York, you can access to either in Brooklyn or Harlem. You can have the Fonio directly prepared for you there. So you have all those different
Oh,
ways.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.